Hello my friends, right away we have some great news coming from Pokrovsk-Dobropilya direction where Ukraine started the counteroffensive towards Boykivka. As you might see here, Ukraine is presented with infantry forces. And let's switch to the vector map. So Ukraine intensifies the strikes all across this area from Nikhanorivka towards Mayak. Well, here Ukraine definitely went far away from the previously gained positions. For now, it's just the expansion of the gray area. So there is the presence of the Ukrainian army. It doesn't necessarily mean that Ukraine liberated the entire Boykivka or Novotoretsky. No, for now it's not happening like that. But the presence of Ukrainian army is out there. Let's switch back. It means that the idea for Ukrainian army is after all to encircle the entire Russian group in Fedorivka and Zatishuk. And judging on all of those blue marks here, it means that Ukraine keeps the initiative. And by the way, let's check out the source which gives us this information. Yeah, I'm gonna make my image a little smaller for you to see everything. So there was the group of the 8 Russian soldiers spotted in that village. While Russians still have their presence there, they control some of the households, and it was the reinforcements sent, who apparently were not aware about the situation that the Ukrainian army is already out there. And our guys from the Scalar regiment were hiding in this ruined building, 2 of the Ukrainian soldiers against 8 of Russians, and nevertheless they decided to open the fire. Well, I cannot show you all of those images, but Russians were caught off guard. They were not aware at all about the presence of Ukrainians. Our guys immediately flatlined 3 of the Russian soldiers. The rest of the job was done by drones, and also those guys from Scalar regiment, they had some of the grenade throwers, so they helped a lot. And those are the buildings where remains of the Russian soldiers went into, and yeah, as I say to you, the drone job was done also very correctly. Judging on this video, it seems like Russians completely lost their presence in that village, but they might send some of the new reinforcements. So of course, Ukrainian soldiers from Skela did absolutely great job. I think they're heroes, engage 2 against 8. Wow, it's very brave, and luckily they're even uninjured. I hope they will have at least some days of vacation after this battle, and probably they will give even an interview about it, because there are some of the Ukrainian journalists who take the interviews of our guys if something extraordinary happens on the front lines. And this stuff is really extraordinary. In the full video I will share on my Telegram channel. You might find it in the video description below, so there is pretty much low censorship compared to YouTube. And this is the same frontline direction, just a little deeper into the Russian controlled territory. I would say partially controlled, because here Ukraine ambushes them. Again, Scalar regiment operates with drones, and here in this video 8 of Russians were flatlined. And here's the data for you where it happened. So this symbol, you just click on it, and here you go with links on Telegram and so on. Usually Twitter or Telegrams are used to publish those uncensored videos. That's why I also use Telegram. That's the only reason, I would say. And the place where Russians were zeroed is almost in the middle between Boykivka and Ruzzian. Yeah, so Ukraine controls this area with the drones. Yeah, Russians sometimes also may be lucky to send their forces to the local villages, but even there Ukraine managed to kaput them, as I saw in the first case. Yes, Skala regiment, or Skela regiment as in Ukrainian, is very, very effective. In English, Skela means rock, so rock solid operation of the Ukrainian army here. And what's about this northern area? Well, Zelensky today in the United States of America, by the way, there was the meeting between Zelensky and Donald Trump, but it's the topic of my next video, which I'm gonna film very, very soon, because I want to split political stuff and the situation on the ground. So here, nevertheless, Zelensky says that Ukraine managed to encircle 1,800 Russian troops. Well, I would say that that statement is more political than real, because 1,800 Russian troops are not presented in this area. But if we speak about the start of the Ukrainian offensive or counteroffensive against this Russian attack, where they break through Ukrainian defense, so throughout this operation, Russia lost more than 2,000 troops already just in this single spot. Well, here in this spot all together, yeah, and that I think is more successful. Zelensky told like that just to encourage Donald Trump. Zelensky said that because of the program which now exists between United States, Europe and Ukraine, so Ukraine may obtain American weapons, and with the help of those weapons Ukraine managed to encircle some of the Russian forces. The precise number is yet unknown, but 1,800 soldiers at this small patch of the ground, it's simply physically not possible for them to appear there. But Ukraine still does awesome job, because losses for Russia there, as I told you, significant, more than 2,000 Wow. Guys, we're gonna return to the front lines just a little later. Now I have some breaking news. Ukraine managed to ambush and destroy Russian Iskanders system, ballistic missile that Russia continued to launch to hit Ukrainian territory, military bases, logistics of Ukraine, civilian infrastructure. So Ukraine fired back and it was successful. So here this vehicle is the Iskander system. It consists out of the launcher and some other tracks which are used for communication and service. Russians tried to mask those vehicles, putting them all together in a hangar. Well, all together they are perished. So judging on this image, at least one of the launchers was kaputted. Was there the missile by the time? Probably not, or maybe it didn't explode. Otherwise, there would not be anything left from those vehicles, but this result is also great. Oh, I see one more Iskander vehicle over here. This is the different hangar, as you might see, and this looks like some sort of the engineering vehicle which is used to put missiles on top. So it could be 2 Iskander launchers already which Russia lost. Wow, great. Oh guys, one more photo from the previous hangar. I'm just reviewing those with you right now while I'm recording this video, because for me those are the breaking news. And that vehicle out there is also a launcher. So 1, 2, and here we have 3 in the different hangar. Yeah, so the losses are crazy. And what's that? Well, it looks like again engineering vehicle for Iskander system in different hangar. It was concrete, as you may see, and Russians even tried to extinguish the fire with the fire extinguishers over here, but it didn't help, as you might see. Yeah, the comments were saying that Russia lost also Panzer 1S system, but I don't see it on those photos. I think it's not Panzer 1S because Russia uses different KAMAZ tracks for that one. Just look at this bumper in the front, and again to this vehicle, no, it's the standard KAMAZ track. Plus Panzer itself is just huge, so it's not Panzer 1S. The drone strike on the Russian vehicles happened in Krasnodarsky Krai. We have the satellite image confirming the location. Some industrial part at least, so there should be no civilian losses, as I think. Well guys, a really interesting operation, very successful. I'm surprised actually. And the most important thing is how Ukraine gained the evidence of the particular place, particular time that there will be Russian vehicles. It's just awesome. It's high standard of the drone operations plus intelligence that was gathered before the strike. Awesome. Jesus, this is the real Mad Max style. Oh my god, this is Lada. The Model 7 with the cage and all of those wires, metal wires around. That's the real Fury Road. We have trucks, cars, motorcycles all together. Oh my god, this is the electronic warfare. Drone jammers and so on, but it doesn't help in many of the cases. Plus it is completely useless against fiber optic drones. Well, maybe those wires around there against the optic cables, so the drones may fly around and touch those cables and, you know, lose the control or something. This design is really interesting. This guy says that they're ready for storming Ukrainian positions. Those bikers, crazy. Here he films everyone, I would say many of the bikers, many elderly guys, but many young as well. All of them are equipped with a China-made motorcycle. So this guy is from Tiva or Tuva, and this is Russian Ivan. Some motorcycles are not even being painted. And this guy, he's in lack of teeth, but it wouldn't matter for him very soon. Now what happened to this guy? No one knows. Well, that's the Russian army. That's how they fight. Ukraine also has the motorcycle unit, I think in the Skela regiment. Yeah, we were talking in the beginning of this video that it's a very capable regiment, but I haven't seen our guys massively that much on the front lines on motorcycles. Well, maybe because Ukraine is mostly in defense, and for defense operations you don't need motorcycles, right? Yeah, the Russian army is definitely evolving, as you might see. And by the way, Donald Trump today called the Russian army that it's probably a paper tiger. So it looks strong, but it is unable to achieve the result. And we're gonna speak again about Donny, Zelensky and everything of that in the next video. And Ukraine is not forgetting about the Russian refineries. The last week Ukraine kaputted several of them, which led to some of the crises and the gas stations all around Russia, except Moscow and St. Petersburg. They have just the price increased by 20% around. But in occupied Crimea there is the problem with benzene and now even diesel in some of the stations. Well, here diesel is available, but the storages are getting emptier. So it's gonna be something really interesting for Russians very soon. Then Ukraine will kaput even more refineries. Lvov, Kursk Oblast, Russian Federation. Well, today Russia attacked Kharkiv city and probably it's the Ukrainian response. Lvov is the supply hub for the Russian army for their operation in Sumy. And definitely something is burning there. We have those images coming. Right guys, now let's go back to the front lines. Russians are moving closer to Konstantinivka. They advanced here. There is the gray area expansion. Ukraine tries to use drones against Russian infantry, but we see that Russia is moving little by little. And we see that Russians are using their drones in Konstantinivka itself, fiber optic controls and usual drones. Plus artillery fire was registered right in the city. J-confirm located some industrial part. And if you check out the deep state military map, here Russia takes the ground in Dnipropetrovsk, Zaporizhia and Donetsk Oblast. So it was yesterday, it is today. Now I would say more that Russians here landed across the Vovcha River. This is very concerning. Yeah, there are some of the trenches here, but Vovcha was the natural obstacle and continue to be the natural obstacle, but Russians crossed it with not huge amount of the forces for now. However, it is absolutely not a good sign. Plus we have extra confirmation from another OSINT analytic, and here Russia penetrated one of the main Ukrainian defense lines. Yeah, there are still the lines behind Ivanivka and some of the trenches here, but Russia managed to break through. Why Russia is so focused on those defense lines? Because they want to open the way to reach Zaporizhia city. In the other part of the Zaporizhia front lines, enemy tries to go ahead in attacks from Plavny village. We have the report from the deep state military map source. For now, Russians left their attempts to go straight forward to Stepnahirsk. Now they want to reach it from the side. Again, they're looking for the weak spots in the Ukrainian defense. And what's about Kupiansk? Well, there is no movement of the Russian army for the last couple of days. I think one of the main goals for Russians would be not to advance to the city, because it might bring lots of the casualties, but they might go to Sobolivka and cut supplies for Ukraine through this road. My friends, if you want to support the job that I do here on YouTube, you may join membership of the channel or Patreon. The link for my Patreon is in the video description just below. Thank you so much for maintaining my motivation to produce the content for you. Thank you guys once again. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time. What the hell is this? A Russian hospital? Dla Ruski do krwawa